What if everything that you've been taught about leadership, climbing, the striving, the building your way to the top, what if that's actually backwards? And what if the most powerful move a leader can make isn't up, but down? And what if the greatest leader who ever lived already showed us exactly how that works? His name is Jesus. And from the moment he entered the world, he did something no one in power ever does voluntarily. He laid it down. I'm Bill, and this is the greatest leadership story ever told, a five-part series where we look at the good news of Jesus, not just as the most important story in history, but as the most complete picture of leadership ever lived. Today, we start at the very beginning, and the beginning is a stable. Let's dive in. Let's look at Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 8. Paul writes, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing, by taking the very nature of a servant. I want you to slow down and actually feel what Paul is saying here. Jesus, in very nature God. That's not a metaphor. That's the creator of the universe, the one who spoke galaxies into existence, the one before whom every knee will one day bow. He had every right, every credential and claim to authority that has ever existed or ever will exist. And what did he do with it? He set it aside. He didn't come as a king arriving in a palace, surrounded by attendants. He came as an infant, helpless, dependent, wrapped in cloth, lying in a feeding trough in a stable. And that was just the beginning. His entire life was an exercise in what I'd call a downward mobility. Touch lepers when no one else would get near them. Eat dinner with tax collectors, the most despised people in Jewish society. He washed disciples' feet. It's the job reserved for the lowest servant in the household. Every step of his ministry, he was moving toward people, not away from them. It was completely, entirely on purpose. This wasn't accidental humility. This wasn't Jesus making the best of a bad situation. He didn't consider his position something to hold on to. He chose to lay it down. Now, here's where this hits different than a Sunday morning teaching. We talk a lot about servant leadership in the business world. It's on LinkedIn posts. It shows up in leadership trainings. I mean, I've talked about it frequently. Many people say they believe in it, and it is an important framework for leading. But here's what I've noticed in my experience of working in human resources, sitting across from managers and executives at every level. The leaders who actually built loyal, high performing teams weren't the ones who reminded people of their title. They were the ones who walked into a problem and said, what do you need from me? They removed barriers instead of creating them. They gave credit instead of keeping it themselves. They promoted people who were ready, even when it meant losing the best person on their team, because they cared about that person's growth more than their own convenience. That is the mindset that Paul is describing in Philippians. This is what Jesus modeled from the moment he entered the world. And here's what I want you to notice. It's not weakness. It takes far more strength to lay something down than to hold on to it. That's the mindset of Christ. And it's the most countercultural leadership posture that you can take. Here's the one thing I want you to carry out of this episode. Real leadership begins with laying down position, not picking it up, not after you've earned enough authority, not once people respect you enough. It starts now with the posture you bring into every room, every conversation, and every decision. So before you lead your next meeting or your next project or your next one-on-one conversation, I want you to sit with this one question. Am I walking in here to be served or to serve? That one question, asked honestly, changes everything. Now, next episode, we're going to look at one of the most powerful things Jesus ever did. And it wasn't a miracle. It was the way he looked at people. I'll see you in the next episode of the greatest leadership story ever told.